In this video, I'm going to discuss about 5 life concepts which are helpful for you and anyone personally in their daily lives. And if they are applied in our daily lives, that will give us tremendous results or even make our lives into a better version possible. So, in this video, I'm going to discuss about those life concepts based upon my knowledge and my limited insights. So, viewers' discretion is advised. And now, coming to the video, to create an ideal lifestyle, you need to first understand yourself. In other words, you need to know your interests, what you like and what you don't like, so that you can fill your days with the activities you like most. In other words, for example, in your daily life, if you are doing 100 activities every day, you need to be selective about those 100 activities or majority of those activities which are going to fill your days. In, let's say, there is a blank paper and it is a your life, and you have a pen and you are going to fill the paper with the activities you want to do every day, like waking up, going to sleep at the same time. And your ideal lifestyle needs to be designed in a way that you are creating a rough draft or version 1, and you're filling your entire page with early morning. I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 5 a.m., and at night I'm going to sleep at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 8 p.m. And in between this time, I'm going to do these specific activities. I'm going to allocate certain amount of my daily time for work. I'm going to allocate certain amount of my daily time to sports, playing games, exercise, or physical body exercising. And you need to be selective about what you are going to do each and every day. Let's think it from other point of view. In a week there are 7 days. You can design your life in a way that during your work days you are going to follow a specific set of routine, and during your weekdays you are going to follow another set of routine. Or you can just scramble things and just focus on one routine each and every day, irrelevant of going to if you are going to work or not. And the main basic concept here is take a pen and a paper, clean white paper, and you're going to fill what your ideal day looks like. In that piece of paper, you're going to write them down. It doesn't matter if it is in a descriptive manner or if it is in a step by step way, like waking up at a specific time, going to sleep, freshing up, eating tiffin, and working free time. And you can design your ideal lifestyle in the way you want to design. And in this video, I'm going to just show you how you can do that ideal lifestyle time. After filling that routine, you have a clear picture about what you are expecting your ideal lifestyle to look like. And now coming to the execution part. In this execution part, you need to follow the routine. And after a few days, you will understand that if you are following it or not. And let's think it from two ways. The first way is discipline. You are not disciplined enough to stick to the routine you have planned for yourself. Or in second instance, the routine is not suitable to you or in your present life circumstances. And now coming to the first point, you are not disciplined enough. In other words, instead of checking your phone early in the morning every day you wake up, You need to change your morning routine so that you can design your lifestyle so that checking your phone is not your top priority when you wake up. And you need to design your environment so that you need to create those situations doing your ideal life plan is better suitable or easier to do. And after certain amount of days you have come to know that the routine you have set for yourself is not suitable for you personally or in the situations you're in right now. So if your discipline is not the problem, the routine is, then you need to go to the second draft. In the first instance you have created a draft or a routine for you to follow. So you can go through two instances. In the first instance, you can make smaller, slighter changes, which will help you to make those routine in a better way possible so that you can follow it without any friction. And in the second instance, you have started things from scratch from a clean paper and you are going to redesign your entire routine so that after following a specific routine, you have understood what you want and what you don't want, what is aligned with your personality, priorities, and your goals, so that you have deleted some of the routine and habits and stick to some other habits which will help you in various ways possible. And coming to this instance, there is a story that is similar to or relevant to the topic in this video. Is there is a jar, and in the jar a big rocks are being placed in the jar, and after those big rocks, small rocks or small pebbles are being placed in the jar. And even if there is a gap, then there is sand and soil is being placed in the jar, and there is still some tiny gap. Then you have poured some water in the jar, and after that time the jar is completely full. Now let's think from other point of view. If you have started pouring soil or small pebbles or even water before you have placed those big rocks, then it is not possible for you to place those higher priority activities with if your life is filled with those low priority tasks. That big rocks is relevant to your high priority activities. That jar is your life, and you need to prioritize your highest priority activities or tasks. It may be related to your family, spending time with your family, close friends, or working on your most important activities, your career, or building up your body, or focusing on your health. You need to prioritize your ideal lifestyle on those certain activities. Now, let's apply this story in your designing, in the designing of your ideal lifestyle. Let's imagine your entire life or your daily life as a jar, and in that jar, you need to pick those selective bigger rocks, and those bigger rocks will be your family, your health, or even your career. It is personally dependent upon you. And after selecting those rocks, you are going to place them or allot a larger portion of your life to that certain activities. In other words, it is must. It is very important to do those activities, even if the other activities are not being accomplished, but those highest priority activities will be completed. And after filling up your ideal lifestyle with those important activities, you are going to focus on the small rocks and small pebbles. It may be those few phone calls which or messages or even emails which will help you to focus or improve your connections in your career, or even those small tiny activities which are of secondary importance, which will help you to expand your horizons and which will help you to go beyond the activities you are doing in right now. And now coming to the third step is the small sand or soil which are going to fill in your life. And that small sand or soil is of the third importance or the third priority activities, which are just some kind of helping blocks which will reduce your friction or even accelerate your growth, or any kind of important activities which may help you towards in your life. And now coming to the final aspect is the water or any kind of liquids which you are going to fill your jar with. It may be watching TV or spending time chatting unnecessarily or speaking about any let's speaking with friends about any kind of movies, sports, and it is like time pass activities or playing those online games or any kind of stuff which you are doing to waste their time. Like, you have 1 hour and you don't know what to do in that 1 hour, you can chat with your friends, you can play with your friends, or you can do some time pass activities like playing games, watching TV. And those are not really important activities which are basically deciding your life, and they are of last importance activities which you can safely delegate delete the stuff, and which will not impact your life entirely, career wise or personal health wise or family wise. You can safely dispose those activities, and by creating those instances, by creating those big blocks of time which you are going to prioritize to fill the majority of your days towards the activities which are helpful for you in designing your ideal lifestyle. To design your ideal lifestyle, you need to allocate specific amount of time like 30 to 60 minutes. Sit in a quiet place so that you can think deeply, and take a piece of paper and a pen, and take a blank paper and write down your ideal lifestyle. And after writing down your ideal lifestyle from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to sleep, you are going to execute the lifestyle you have designed for yourself. And after executing that lifestyle for a few days, you can know that what habits are good for you or what habits are bad for you, what you need to change or replace. By analyzing those days which you have followed your habit written down, you can just replace those few activities or redesign your entire lifestyle. And we have discussed about an example about jar and those bigger rocks and smaller stones, and you need to prioritize the activities in your ideal lifestyle based upon your highest important activities, so that your days are not filled with low importance activities which doesn't matter in the long run. When it comes to your professional life or any other person's professional life, the work we choose to do is going to take a lot of our time. Everyone has 24 hours. Let's say in average a person is spending 8 hours on sleep and spending 8 hours on work and using the rest of the 8 hours on other activities. On average, a person is spending from 8 10 hours or more hours every day on the work or in the professional field they are working on. So, since most of our working time, focus, energy, efforts are being spent on the work, we need to be selective about what work we do choose to do, because our work life will impact our entire life, and choosing the correct profession for you personally is going to impact your life in a drastical way. So, how can you choose your profession wisely? And to answer that question, until now, I have read a few books and I have watched a lot of videos. And from my experience and from my knowledge, I'm going to tell you what I know so that you can take the correct choice based upon the options you do have. In our younger age, or even if you are older, the work is the most important priority, or one of the most important priorities in our daily life. And the work we choose to do is going to impact other areas of our life. Like if you are a traveler, or if you are working on any kind of traveling job, then your entire life will change drastically because you're regularly traveling and seeing different places. And if you are a software engineer, then your most of your time is spent in front of screens, computers, laptops. And if you are a civil engineer, then it is on construction site. If you are a mechanical engineer, it is with instruments, mechanical parts. If you are a doctor, then you are spending most of your time doing surgeries, speaking with patients, clients. And since your entire work life is dependent upon the choice you have taken, you need to be selective and you need to think 100 times before picking the right profession, because the profession or the work you are choosing to do is going to take a lot of time, energy, effort, progress for you to excel in that field. Even if you want to earn money from it, you need to be at least in a decent way, or you need to perform in a decent manner for you to get paid. So if you are interested in doing some specific things, then it doesn't matter, or the time will flow very freely. But if you don't like the things, the time flow will be very slow. And there are a lot of situations or criterias for you to know what type of work you are going to excel in, such as the interest you are showing in specific fields, the type of flexibility you can have, like such as some other online jobs will have the flexibility for you to work remotely, and other jobs will have flexibility in other areas like high paying jobs. Or even if you don't want to do any kind of job, you can set some businesses and you can run a business which demands a lot of your time, even if you are working on 16 hours, 18 hours a day, even on Sundays. And based upon all these criteria, you need to understand yourself and you need to choose wisely on which work you are going to spend your time on, because it will impact your financial life. It will impact the way you develop professionally and personally. It will impact the way you are connected in the professional world. And so there are a few concepts which you can examine with your work life so that you can choose wisely. Some of the concepts are ikigai, where there are four concepts like, do you the type of work you are loving, the type of work which will give you money, and those concepts will help you to just focus on the activities or choose the activities you're getting the most out of. Or even there is a book known as Mastery by the author Robert Greene, where the author discusses about the our calling in our life. And what does calling mean? It means in our work life we have job which we are using or which we are supposed to do because we need to earn money. And in the next level, we have career. Career is something we are focusing on building. Let's say if a person is saying, I have 10 years experience, I have 20 years experience, I have 15 years experience in a specific field, then you are listening to a person who has built their career on a specific field. And now coming to the final third level or the next level, it is about calling. It is the purpose of your work. It is why you do specific work. It goes beyond materialistic accomplishments like earning a lot of money. And earning money is important. But however, when it comes to the bigger picture in our life, something bigger than money, like a kind of a passion will which is necessary for you to do a lot of extra and exponential things which is required to do something extraordinary. And to do something extraordinary, earning money or only motivated by money is not a specific criteria. And when it comes to your professional overall life, you need to carefully examine the trajectory you are going to on this certain journey you have chosen for yourself. And when it comes to your work when you are young, there are, as a lot of people say, you need to choose work choose your work based upon the learning experiences or the knowledge you gain. Let's consider two instances. In the first instance, you're working on a specific profession which gives you a lot of money and a lot of options, and the second instance you're working on something which gives less money. But when it comes to both of these instances, during the first instance you are not getting a lot of career flexibility and growth. In the second instance, even if the money or the salary is low, you are learning a lot of things and you are focused or your future will be brighter. Which of the options do you choose? It is based upon your primary interests and your importance of in the present moment and the value you consider for your future to have. And what does calling means in our professional life? Calling is something that has been a lot of importance because it is not something external, it is something internal. External is some kind of money where you want to earn money by doing certain tasks. Calling is something that is similar to purpose, or calling and purpose as equal. Your purpose is something which you are born to do. So it is some kind of a work that you are willing to focus on. You are willing to spend most of your time, money, attention, and focus on so that you can have exponential growth and progress towards the society and towards the human race. Let's say you are working on some medicine or some new inventions, new gadgets, or even if you are writing a new book which is helpful for younger generations, or even if you are working as a mentor who gives career guidance to younger people, which will help them to choose the right careers for them personally. And it is something beyond money, and it is something beyond materialistic recognitions like having fame and being popular. It is something internal and not something externally motivated but internally desired. And will it will show itself when you are focusing on your inner world instead of focusing on the external things which are very bright. Like having a bigger paycheck is very tempting, and having that fame money is also tempting. But instead of focusing only on money and instead of chasing money, you need to focus on working on yourself, working on your work, so that the money is like a byproduct, as said by a lot of people. And there is also a story about, if you want to get butterflies, then don't chase butterflies. If you have a garden, then butterflies will come automatically. In the similar way, if you want to chase money and you are running for it, then the money will also run more fastly. So instead of focusing on money entirely, you need to focus on the building a garden which is creating or producing butterflies as a byproduct. In the similar way, you need to produce quality work, quality stuff, and you need to produce or create something of quality output which is valuable, useful to other people, which helps solve other people's problems and the society problems as a whole, or which will help other people to do some things much easier, faster. And by doing these things, you can work on yourself, and you can do something exponential, something useful to the society, while also working on earning money. And having fame and money should be out of the question. The first point needs to be working on yourself and creating your craft in such a way that it is of higher quality, and the work or the money will automatically come to you for your quality output. And that's the desire, or that's the result you need to focus on in the early stages of your career. Instead of focusing on the external stuff, you need to focus on yourself internally, and you need to focus on creating your best version possible. You need to be selective about the type of people you choose to work with and the type of people you are being friends with, because there is a famous quote that if you are the average of five people you spend most amount of your time with. Let's say you are spending time with five people who are exercising regularly, then you will become the sixth person who exercises regularly. If you are surrounded with five people who are who are public speaking, then you will become the sixth person who is also public speaking. If you are surrounded with five people who are wasting their time focusing on unnecessary activities, then you will become the sixth person who is doing the same. If you are surrounded with the five people who are doing the work you want to do, then you will automatically become the type of person you want to become. In other words, to become the best version of yourself, you need to surround it with people who are best version of themselves. Let's say you want to become the best in a certain field, then you need to surround yourself with people who are best in that certain fields. For example, in our professional world, business people will hire a lot of talented people, and those talented people will come together to focus on those problems. And since they have a very big brain or talents, and since the business person is funding them, they have resources, and they will produce some kind of exponential and extraordinary output. And in other instance where the talented people are not in the same room, the exponential or extraordinary work will not be possible. In the similar way, in our daily lives, when it comes to our professional life, if we are surrounded with talented people and we are working as a packs, then we can do a lot of things very fastly in a high quality way, and in a way that not a single person can do. Let's say a single person can work and focus on a specific aspect, and they can do that task. But when a group of minds are coming together, they will produce some kind of exponential output which the single person can't even do. let's imagine there is a specific field a person is working on, and in that specific field he is specialized in a specific aspect of the field. And if he is working with other people who are specialized in individual aspects of the field and they come together, then they will show their expertise on a specific problem they are focusing on, and they are creating some kind of a tangible stuff which is helpful for everyone, which creates monetary output. And even if it doesn't create monetary value, it creates some kind of a value to the society we live in the similar way, in our personal lives, we need to be selective about the type of people we are choosing to spend our time with, because directly or indirectly they are influencing our thoughts, actions, decisions. If you even if you agree or disagree with this point, your group or your friends are influencing you, the decisions you take, the type of places you visit, and the type of behavior, character, and the type of identity persona you are creating. In the similar way, if you are selective with the type of people you are spending your time with, then you will also change based upon the type of people you are associating yourself with. For example, in your daily life, when you are working with professionals, then you have a different kind of persona when compared with you spending time with your friends. In both instances, you are noticing some changes in yourself, the way you behave changes, the way you operate changes. Why? Because you're surrounded with that kind of environment and people who are focusing and who has some kind of standards to do specific things in a specific way. So you align with that standards, and going with the flow is easy, and going outside or going against the flow is harder. In the similar way, if you want to produce some kind of tangible results, or even focus and do some kind of stuff very fastly or with high quality, you need to surround yourself with people who align with your goals, so that your goals and their goals are not clashing with each other, and that creates some kind of a flow. Because everyone in the room are in a same page, then the communication will be a lot faster, and getting things done will be a lot easier, and the flow will also be a little bit better. Thinking this concept from a different point of view, if you want to learn something new, then surrounding yourself people who are also learning that specific thing will help you to focus on that specific thing and improve your progress in that specific area of your life. Because the other people are also focusing on that thing and you are also focusing on that thing, then that combined approach and that combined focus will produce tangible results, as mentioned before. And even if you want to focus on a specific thing, or even if you want to apprentice and learn some new things, if you have the support of a mentor, then he or she can teach you about that specific thing, so that you will not repeat the same mistakes they have repeated when they are in your position a few decades ago, which will help you to exponentially improve your progress in that specific area of your life, in that specific field. Let's say if you want to exercise, then you can exercise regularly. You can exercise watching videos, reading books. But if you have the mentorship of people who are professionals in exercising, and even if you have the group of people or even your friends who are regularly exercising, then you can ask them about certain basic concepts about how to exercise, what are the foods that needs to be taken, how to rest and how to relax, how many days a week should a person should exercise, and those basic questions and those few doubts you have about exercising will be instantly clarified. Because you have surrounded yourself with the people who are exercising regularly. In the similar way, if you are working on a specific project, then contact with the people who are experts in that specific fields or working on that specific fields will help you to communicate about that work you are working on, and you can share your expertise and they can share their expertise, which will help both of the parties to work a lot faster. And even if you want to focus on other areas of your life, the similar concept applies. For example, if you want to eat healthy, if you want to focus on personal finance, if you want to focus on communication skills, if you want to focus on reading, if you want to focus on exercising, or even any area of your life, if you are surrounded with the type of people who are best in that field, or even learning and focusing on that concept with a growth mindset, then it will be a bigger plus for you, because both you and the other people are in the same page. And even if you don't find other people, if you are working on a specific field, and if you are focusing on specific aspects and you are consistently doing that thing, then you will communicate, or you will know the people who are also working on that thing, because you are consistently doing that specific thing, which will align your thoughts and actions with the people who are also focusing on that specific thing, which will create a path for both of you to meet each other. It doesn't happen instantly, but if you are focusing and doing the thing, then you are surrounded with the other people you are working on. Let's say you are a doctor, then you in your field you are surrounded with people who are doctors. Let's say you are a businessman, then you are surrounded with people and regularly meeting with business people's investors. If you are a politician, then you are surrounded with politicians. In the similar way, based upon your specific field, you are surrounded with the people who are also experts in that specific field. Even if, let's say, if you are a businessman, then you are surrounded with accountants, attorneys, investors, advisors, business insiders, or any kind of thing. In the similar way, in your personal life, if you are surrounded with people who are trusting you, who are focusing on becoming their best version, and who are aligned with your priorities and values, it will create some kind of a free flowing momentum, because both of you are in the same page, and that will create a kind of a development. Because if both of you are not in the same page, then your priorities will not match, which results in the development being delayed. And if you are surrounded with people who are also focused on the same things you are surrounded with, then you're focusing on, then you will grow exponentially, which will help the overall cost to improve. And let's say, for example, in your specific area or in your specific life, you want to focus on other things, like you want to expand your horizons. Let's say you, in your specific life, you are doing some kind of routine like work, play, job, watching TV, or any kind of routine you're following. If you want to learn something new, or if you want to break your habits and create new habits, then change the people or include new people who are working on some kind of things, or their habits are aligned with the type of habits you want to learn. Where we are living is directly influencing the type of work you are doing regularly and the type of people you are interacting daily. And so you need to be selective about the type of locality you want to live in, and you need to be precise about the type of city you want to live in. So instead of randomly selecting the city you want to live in, or even the country, you need to be selective about each and every aspect of your life, and you need to align the city which is helpful for your goals and for your future development. Let's say you are working on any kind of software field or any kind of computers AI field, then working in a city which is booming with computers, AI generated models, or focused mostly on AI quantum mechanics, then your career growth will be much faster because you will be connected with a lot of people and companies who are working on a specific field. In the similar way, if you are working on some kind of architecture, or even if you are studying architecture, then your college needs to be in a certain locality. In other words, in your the place you live in is not ideal for your development to boom. So instead of focusing on the developments, you need to focus on the type of locality where you can flourish. Or let's say, imagine there is a garden, and in the garden there are a lot of flowers, trees, plants, and that garden is like the environment we live in. And instead of criticizing or complaining to the tree that it is not growing, you need to focus on the type of soil it needs, the type of environment it requires, the type of resources, water, sunlight it requires for it to develop. In a similar way, if you want to develop and if you want to become your best version, then you need to surround yourself with the type of environment which aligns with your long term goals, priorities, objectives. So instead of flowing against the wind or flow, you need to align with the flow that has been going on in the environment. So you need to pick the environment you want to live in, so that you can work in a better way possible. Or even personally, your environment needs to be harmonious to what you do and who you are, so that you can develop and work more better in that situation. In the other words, let's say you have set yourself a specific plan, and you need to execute that plan. And to execute that plan, you need to have that kind of environment resources. In the present moment you don't have them, so you can choose that if you want to live in that certain space, or if you want to go to other locations. In the similar way, if your present location is aligned with your goals and objectives, then working there or even living there will be helpful for you in the long run. In the similar way, you need to be clear about what do you want, so that your environment is ideal for you. In other words, if you exactly know what you want, you can choose the type of environment you can live in, which helps you to grow in a much faster way, in a much further way, which will help you in the long run to develop much quicker. Let's say there is an environment which is helping you 10 times better, and there is another environment which is helping you to flourish 5 times better. In both instances, which environment do you choose? Obviously the environment which is helping you to flourish or develop in a 10 times better way. When compared it with the long run, let's say you are working in a certain kind of career, like any kind of career, or computers or AI. At the age of 25, if you have started working in a kind of environment, and there is another person who is also working in different kinds of environment, when compared with the both of you, while both of you are doing the right things ethically and you are working hard and focusing on the field, while both of you are having or producing similar kind of efforts, but your environment will directly or indirectly influence the type of growth you are experiencing in the field, the type of money you are earning, the type of resources and opportunities you come in contact with. So instead of complaining about the not so good environment, if you can change your environment to the type of locality or the type of cities or even countries where your goals are aligned, then you can be in a better situation. In other words, let's say if your environment is harmonious to your goals and you are flourishing in the environment you are living in right now, then it is better for you to not change that place and live in some other place because it is giving you more money or you're earning more money. So you need to have a clear set of priorities for you to choose between the opportunities you have right now and in the coming future, because your environment will directly or indirectly influence the way you work, the type of people you come in contact with, your lifestyle, the type of work you do, or any kind of stuff. In one city there may be a lot of walking areas, there may be a lot of cycling areas. In other cities there may be a lot of urban space. In other cities there may be a lot of greenery. In other cities there may be a abundance in working opportunities. In other cities there is calm, peaceful environment, and you need to have a specific bit of priorities, and you need to see the projection of the city in the next 5, 10, 20 years, because you are going to work in that city and you are committed to doing some kind of work which is helpful for you and for the society, or even to feed your family, or even to develop yourself. You need to pick the type of city which aligns with your goals. And there are a few cities or even countries which are helpful for you personally, because they are in alignment with your goals, long term goals, and your present actions. So moving there will be a lot of helpful for you. And even if when compared with your relatives and surrounding people, people who are helpful for you, or people who are aligned with your values, if they are in close contact with you, then your environment will also flourish. In other words, let's say you are abandoned in a foreign location where you don't know anyone and no one knows you, and in this similar way you are having a lot of different conversations with the other people in your location, where you know everyone and everyone knows you. It gives you some kind of social contact which will help you in emergency situations, while compared with this different point of views. And there is other situation like your present environment is not helpful for you to develop, because it has set itself a certain ceiling and you want to go beyond that horizons to develop yourself. In that certain situation you need to take the risk and assume responsibility, because it's your life and it's your choice, and the type of environment you live in will directly or indirectly influence your lifestyle, your work, and your progress. And after your growth and progress, and after a few years, you can obviously see the difference your choices have made in living the type of environment you live in right now. Because let's say there are a lot of opportunities in a city A, and there are a fewer opportunities, but you're spending time with your family in city B, and city A is giving you more money and city B is giving you more time to spend with your loved ones, then you have a choice. And then there is also a city C which is giving you time to travel, because it is closer to city B, which in which your family lives in, and you can regularly go and check up on them. And it is also giving you more money and more opportunities like city A. In other words, you need to explore the avenues and you need to explore the future opportunities, because if you want to be selective and if you want to commit to a certain city, because you're investing a lot of time developing yourself and setting that environment, buying a house or even renting an apartment, living a few years in that city or even country or even a state, you need to be selective about the type of environment you live in, because it is directly or indirectly influencing you as mentioned before. Let's say, in other words, you need to research more and you need to have a clear base of priorities, like you need to be precise about the type of work you are doing, the type of people you are spending your time with, and after that you need to be clear about the type of environment you live in. And by combining these three aspects, your ideal lifestyle will be a lot better. And in this similar way, you need to be clear about the type of lifestyle you want to live in, so that your environment or the city or even the state, the country you live in is aligned with the type of lifestyle you want to live, so that your long term potential or even your present life reality will be more comfortable or even more supportive for you to grow into a better version. Let's say there is a butterfly and you are in just a small young stage, and you for you to develop into a butterfly and roam into other places, you need to stay in an environment which is helpful for you to transform from this early stage into a butterfly. So you need to pick the environment, because your environment is like a home, and your home will impact the way you live in, because your living conditions will drastically affect the way you are working on and your future potential and even your present focus, because environment will help you or even disturb you. In, let's say you're working in your home, then your mother or even your father or even your wife or even any kind of your children will come regularly and they will play. And in other instance, you're working in office, and you're working in some kind of location where your work is prioritized and you are not getting disturbed. In both instances, there are different priorities for different locations. In the similar way, the type of city or even the type of location you live in, the type of place you live in, will have some kind of certain aura or priority for it to behave in a certain kind of way, some kind of characteristic for it to develop. And in the similar way, let's say you are picking a city which is closer to beach, then you can spend time in the beach watching the sea. If the city is closer to desert, then you can travel in desert. And if your city is closer to some kind of forest area or even zoo park, then you can spend time with in zoo park. In the similar way, you get the point, right? Your living conditions are needs to be in your control, and you need to be precise and you need to be selective about the type of city you live in, without getting distracted or without thinking things through, because instead of hastily doing or instantly focusing on the given option, you need to be take a few steps back and you need to see the bigger picture and you need to see things through, so that your city or the location you live in is really great for you. Imagine there is an archer who is shooting arrows and he has 100 arrows in his arsenal, and the problem is he doesn't have any kind of target. It doesn't matter how many arrows he has or how much experience the archer has. It doesn't matter unless he has a specific point to aim and shoot. In the similar way, if we don't have a certain aim, a specific goal in our lives, then even if we have a lot of money, resources, materialistic resources, those those stuff, those things will not matter unless we can use them to achieve a specific purpose or to achieve a specific goals in our lives. In the similar way, we need to be precise and selective about the type of goals we are aiming at. In our daily lives, we have limited number of arrows or let's say resources. So we need to be selective about the type of goals we are picking. especially during the early stages of your life when you have less resources, or even in any stage of your life when the resources are low. You need to be especially selective about the type of goals you choose, and you need to be focused, and you need to spend most of your quality time, attention, and resources on that specific goals. And to achieve that specific aim, you need to develop yourself into focused and into becoming a kind of a person who is so focused on his goals that he can achieve them in his lifetime. In the similar way, how many goals we have doesn't matter unless they are clearly defined and they have a deeper purpose in it. Let's say you have a goal of earning $1 million or even $1 billion or more. It doesn't matter, or that money will be worthless unless you know what to do with that money when you get it. Will you use it to purchase a land, home, property, or will you use it for any kind of medical expenses, or even for marriage, for kids? You need to have a clear goal and specific plan of actions for you to make sure that your money and your resources are spent on the correct things in your life. In the similar way, you have something. Even if you don't have that kind of money, resources, connections with certain people, even if you have nothing right now, you have something, and that is your mind and your desire and your willpower. And even if you don't have anything, but if you have a specific and a defined purpose in your life, then you can move mountains. The important thing is the fire within you and how much that fire is burning. In other words, you need to be constantly motivated and constantly be enthusiastic about the daily actions you need to take regularly, so that even if when things get boring or even if there are no results coming in your way, you won't give up. In other words, you need to be consistent. Now, coming to the main point, end game planning. In other words, you need to have a clear picture of what your end game looks like. Let's imagine there is a sports game or even a sports World Cup that has been hosted in a certain country, and certain group of countries, let's say 10 countries, have come to that certain country and are playing each other to win that specific title. In this instance, winning the World Cup is a goal the 10 teams are aiming for. In the similar way, be you need to become the type of person who has specific goals and a specific end game. In the World Cup, the teams are playing league matches, and the winning the league matches doesn't matter if you don't win the World Cup. However, to win the World Cup, you need to first win the league matches, semi-finals, quarter-finals. In the similar way, you, to achieve that big goal or even to eat that bigger elephant, you need to break down the larger goal into small chunks, so that instead of eating the elephant as a whole, you are taking small bites and small chunks regularly, which which is helping you to move closer towards your goals. And the important point is to do not stop your progress. It doesn't matter if you are walking slowly or even jogging or even just moving very slowly every day. The moving fastly is like a bonus point. However, the important thing is to do not stop your momentum and do not stop your progress. Do everything you can each and every day in an ethical way to achieve your desired results and your focus. And to achieve that specific goals or even your end game, you need to be selective, and you need to know yourself, know your core values, know your core beliefs, know your core identity, so that you have a clear picture about yourself. You need to know yourself, know thyself, so that you can choose what you want out of this life. Or even if you want to enjoy the materialistic things, or even if you want to develop spiritually, or even if you want to give something to the society, or even if you want to serve the humanity, you need to be clear and you need to be precise about that specific goals, because it is something you are doing for long term. So the closer the goals are for your identity, the closer it aligns with your personality, the closer it will be more easier. It will be harder, but it will be more bearable when you have set the goals which you really want to achieve. In other words, to strive for greatness, you need to pick the goals which you really want, which you really need. In other words, you need to have that certain kind of fire within your eyes, which is constantly burning, constantly pushing you towards achieving that greatness. And to achieve that greatness, you need to start somewhere. And that starting point needs to be right now. Because the past has gone. You can't bring back the time that has been lost. And the future is uncertain. You can plan for it, but you can't exactly know what will happen in the future. What you have right now is the present moment. You need to have a clear goal, and you need to create a certain rough sketch or even a rough draft for your future version, and you need to do everything you can ethically and morally, which you need to do right now, which will help you to place yourself in a certain position in the coming future. In other words, you need to be responsible about your own fate, and don't throw it to circumstances or even to helpful or supportive environment, or even to certain stars alignment that I am born in this date, the stars are not with me or the gods are not with me. You need to go beyond that beliefs, and you need to have absolute clarity and absolute belief within yourself. Because even if you have everything you need to achieve that certain goal, your inner world and your inner self needs to be so strong. You need to conquer your inner self before you're conquering the external world. You need to overcome your desires, you need to overcome your negative habits, negative thoughts before going for that goals. Because nothing external will satisfy you or even will create your ideal reality unless your internal is aligned with your self. In other words, you have senses, you can see, you can hear, you can speak, you can listen, or any kind of, you have five senses. You need to have absolute control over these five senses, and you need to have a desire, and you need to have self control over the things you see, the things you listen, the words you speak, the type of food you eat, the type of habits you have. And you need to be disciplined enough before striving for greatness. In other words, you need to become worthy, and to become worthy, you need to take those harder choices, and you need to be disciplined, and you need to take action even if you don't feel like doing them. And when you have that kind of self control and self mastery, and you have a specific set of goals for you to achieve, and you have a clear picture of your long term priorities which aligns with your core beliefs and your identity, and you have a clear conscience, you have a clear set of rules, moral values for you to follow, and you have a clear ethics and boundaries, then you can have that certain goals, and you absolutely need to know when to stop. Instead of overachieving for that stuff, you need to have a clear end point so that you can tell to yourself that this is my end goal, and after achieving that end goal, I'm going to stop, and I am going to stop, or I am going to do other things. If you have some kind of that end goal, like, there are two types of games in our life. The one is infinite game and the second one is finite game. In our life is kind of a infinite game, or even a kind of a finite game. In this infinite game, there will be a lot of finite games, and our life is kind of a finite game when coming to the bigger picture. Like, we have a soul, we can travel, or we have multiple lifetimes. In this infinite game, our finite game is kind of the way we see ourselves, and the moment we take birth in this human body and the moment we leave this human body, between the time is your finite game. And to win in this finite game, you need to have a clear goal from which that you can absolutely know that you have used your life wisely. That's all for this video, everyone. If you found this video valuable, or even if you want to give me any kind of suggestions or even insights, you can comment it down below. And that's all for this video, everyone. See you next time. Thank you.